Hello and welcome to Europa Universalis 4. I am Lord Forwind, here with a brief guide on how to play the Manchu, specifically how to form the Manchu, and then some advice for further on. So, to form the Manchu, you have to have one of the three tribes of the Juran one. So you have to have Manchu culture, which means you have to play as Jinzhao, Yeren, or Haxi. Over all of them, I recommend you take Zhao. I'm terribly saying it wrong and I apologize, but that's how I'd say it. And you want to immediately, I'll just do a little bit of this. You want to unite the Juran tribes, Jurchen, Jurchan probably, who knows. You want to immediately go to the tribes and do a raise host, which is key. At the same time, you want to dash to the Ming, and you want to become their tributary, which is very key. You want to sell your fleet. You want to get, you start off with a half-decent general. You could try and see if you can get another good one. In this case, I think he's a little bit better, I'd say. And then you want to tick forward in the starting time. You probably want to put down another merchant somewhere. I don't necessarily know how you want to do trade, but you probably want to put it down in the one trade load you can interact with, which is the Garen trade node. And as soon as you're allowed to declare war, which is in December, you want to immediately attack Hoxie, and you want to specifically, you want to take, well, actually, you can wipe them out in a single war, which is what you want to do. You want to take all their provinces. 98 war score, you can safely do that. With the 5 swarm cavalry you're raising plus your initial army, you should be able to smash them pretty easily. Obviously, try and attack them on flat plain, steppe, grassland lands, so you get the bonus for a nomadic horde and stuff to do damage, or steppe nomads, used to be nomadic horde. You want to take their capital of Girin here, and you want to start coring that. You do not want to core any of these other provinces. This is the key point. Any of these other provinces you take from them, you do not want to core. Then as soon as it's done, assuming Yeren does not have an ally, you want to declare war on them with the war goal of Hingan, or whatever it is, up here, and you want to take that. You can't take all their provinces, but you want to take as many as possible, and then you want to immediately core Hingan, or whatever. And that should give you enough to form the Manchu nation. Now, despite forming the Manchu nation, you have an overly large army. You're probably losing a lot of money. You have very low chance of getting any of the institutions, and overall you're in really bad shape. So the next thing I recommend you do is you invade Korchin here, assuming they are not allied to anybody. If you're lucky, they're at war with the Ming over tributary status. If you're lucky, you want to try and take as much of their land as you can up here. And then you want to, either you want to invade Korchin or you want to invade Buryata. Specifically, you want to take their province here of Baraguzin, or whatever, because it is the one gold mine province in the area you can easily get a hold of, which means you want to grab it and you want to develop it. See, there's the gold. That's the only one you're going to get for quite some time. You want to get it, you want to make it a state as soon as possible, and you want to develop it to 10 production. That should finance a lot of your empire for the time being. I recommend you initially focus probably admin or military. You ideally want to hit level 4 military about the time when you're ready to attack Korea. You have to attack Korea before they hit like tech 6 or 7 in terms of military tech. Ideally you want to hit them before they hit 5, after which they can usually easily beat you. Mainly due to the terrain, they have a lot of hills here, and a good portion of your land is surprisingly actually woods or mountains out here. So it's a bit tricky to kill Korea, but you want to kill Korea pretty quickly. At some point, once you form the Ming, you'll see the benefit of only coring Higan and Girin here, because it will give you automatic cores on all the Manchu culture provinces, which are quite a bit. It even gives you some that are in China, or the Ming, which is quite impressive. So that saves you lots of admin power. And then you want to kill Buryat, develop it, kill Cochin, develop it. Then you want to invade Korea. It's going to take probably about 3 wars to kill Korea, give or take. Stuff. Making sure that you keep good relations with the Ming, being a tributary, having a royal marriage, improving relations with them. And they should stay as your big defense for the majority of the game. After which you want to, once you've conquered this whole region, you're probably going to be falling behind in tech, so between wars you want to put down army maintenance to 0, which helps. You probably want to develop the Manchu capital, which will be Girin here. You want to develop that as much as you possibly can. If you're lucky, you actually pop colonialism. Oh, sorry, not colonialism. You get the Renaissance when that's once that fires, you develop it up and you get the Renaissance, which will save you a lot of tech points. Then you want to invade Mongolia, the Oirate. Fighting your way through this region here is going to take quite some time. I recommend you try and get Yarkand over here as a vassal. Karadel turns into a pretty nice ally if you can get them, or as a vassal. Yarkand as a march provides something like 32 troops mid to late game, so it can be really useful. I recommend you try and get over to the Great Horde Muscovy region as soon as possible. Obviously, be careful with aggressive expansions, coalitions, but luckily, since you all have the Ming as a protector, no one is going to really attack you, even if they do have a coalition. I had one coalition against me where the Ming betrayed me, but that was when I had the Ottomans bomb on us, which had conquered most of southern India and Russia and Poland, Lithuania all on me at once. So you really don't have to worry about it, which means you can go pretty hard in conquering things. Really what it comes down to is getting enough admin power. Luckily the Manchu ideas are pretty good on that. They get 20% cheaper core creation cost. However, you do not want to start admin ideas. I recommend you start defensive ideas. The 15% morale and the movement and the cheaper maintenance is massive. At least get the third idea so you get the cheaper core cost. And then second idea, I recommend doing administrative. For third, I found humanist to be the best because seeing as who you are, if you take, what is this? I think it's yellow shamanism, you get more tolerance of heathens on top of the humanist ideas. You will actually tolerate every religion in the game perfectly wonderfully, which is what you want to do. So you don't actually have to convert anything if you don't want to. Of course, you could go religious, but at some point, if you want to form the Qin dynasty by conquering the Ming, which is an achievement, you will change to Confucianism. So having the humanist ideas helps, of course, once you get to there. Now, killing the Ming is the big goal for the Manchu, and it's what they did historically. Now, I have not found an easy way to do it. The best I have found is you expand through Tibet here, or the Tibetan Plateau. And what you want to do is you want to get down here and kill off all the Ming tributary states you can. So the only country bordering the Ming is you. At the same time, you want to expand out here as far as you can and just become roughly, I found you need to be about 3,000 development. The Ming will eventually develop themselves a bit, but shouldn't expand. And maybe at that point, if you're equivalent in military tech, if you're equivalent in ideas, and you think you can get a few allies, you can try to turn on the Ming. The big reason for that is the Ming will demand you return to your tributary status, and if you don't, they'll declare war on you. There is an event called the Unguarded, I think it's Unguarded Nomadic Frontier, which after a period of couple years, the Ming will suffer immense amounts of rebellion, loss of mandate, and all their other tributary states will get rebellious. The issue is you have to survive that long being independent of the Ming without them attacking you or having a truce with you. If you can last that long, the Ming are doomed. Plain and simple. But lasting that long is nigh on impossible. Because considering you have to border them, they can always attack you, and they're always massive. If you're lucky enough to get them to collapse, that's great. You have to have 300 development to start. You can get that just from the Manchu land, but you can't survive an attack from the Ming anyway, at least not to my knowledge. If someone can do it, good for you. But I had to find that I had to control all the Ming borders, had to conquer most of India, had to conquer this whole region was under my control. I was horribly behind in tech, but I did have the institutions, and given the fact that I was making absurd amounts of money due to the gold mines I controlled at that point, 1, 2, 3 gold mines, actually 4 gold mines, I was able to afford level 3 visors, catch up, turn on the Ming. Eventually they collapsed. They launched actually a very vicious war despite me being stronger than them. I almost had 3 times their development. But eventually you will wear them down, and once you can invade them, they fall really quickly. What with the 45% core cost you get from United the 3 Jurchens and then the adaptability, you'll be taking their land really quickly. But sadly, it's not as good as it should be historically accurate because the Ming were a lot weaker than they are in the current patch. This is the Russia patch, in case anyone's curious. But the principles should hold steady through the next ones. So essentially, quickly conquer Garen here, Higan, form the Manchu, which will give you automatic cores in these provinces, so don't waste admin power on them. You'll have to deal with rebellions, but you should be able to deal with that, especially with the Eastern Swarm Cavalry you get from the tribes. Try to kill Korea before they hit Miltech 5 or 6, preferably 5. You can easily take over this region. Taking over this region as the Manchu, once you survive the initial war against Hoxie and Yiren, you're golden. Just make sure you become a tributary state of the Ming. And that's roughly how I think you should play the Manchu. Obviously, it's really difficult. I might stick up my timeline of my playthrough at some point. Otherwise, if you guys like me to see a playthrough of this, please let me know. I can try a playthrough, or at least I can do the initial conquests. But assuming you're good at Europa, you should be able to win this war and then win this war, and you'll get the Manchu regardless. You also have the wonderful banners that you can raise. However, they do increase corruption. There's a achievement called These Banners Need a Saga, which involves 100%, sorry, not 100%, 100 banners raised at the same time. That is actually impossible from your starting Manchu culture lands. So what I had to do is I had to culturally convert this entire region to Manchu culture. Actually, I also converted some of Bengal. But you're not going to get it till at least you hit the 8 banners, and then in the Age of Absolutism, there is a thing that allows you to get 50% more banners. That's the best way of getting that achievement. Killing the Ming has to wait till late game. Forming the Manchu, by comparison, is pretty easy. You want to try and stay as a steppe nomad Khanate as long as possible, so that when you do attack the Ming, they do get the unguarded nomadic frontier. So that is a brief guide to the Manchu. If you have any questions, comments, advice, or examples of how you did it, please leave them below in the comments or ask questions and I'll answer them. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.